Welcome, everyone. I'm Marcy Jones with Urban Connoisseurs, and welcome, everyone. I'm Marcy Jones with Urban Connoisseurs, and I am waiting for Tinashe to get on. He is logging in, I believe. At least he sent me a message saying he was logging in. So let's see here what he's saying. All righty. Hold on. Copy. Stage. All right, he's getting in here. In the meantime, feel free to send a message, send a chat, say hello. Let me know you're in here. That would be great. I'm going to be a little patient here. Oh, there he is, right there. Hey there.
How are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I can't hear you.
Oh.
Are you on mute?
No. I'm not on mute at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't hear you.
Oh, which is weird.
I see your lips moving. Up, you're on mute. Well, you were.
I've removed mute now.
I don't hear you.
Must I log out and come in again?
I see you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. How are you?
Very well. And yourself?
Good, good. I don't see any people in yet.
Okay.
So maybe we'll give them a few more minutes before we go too deep into the conversation. But my wine club members received your Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, and the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah. No, they just got that. She didn't have the Sauvignon Blanc available, but she told me if I want to order it a different time and give her a little bit more lead time. But I guess they were out of it where she wasn't. I bought it. I don't know if you remember Wanda Nicole.
Yes, I remember Wanda, yeah.
Right. So she works at a wine shop in Missouri.
Oh, yes.
And they keep selling out of your cab.
Oh, Yeah, that keb is delicious. It's really, it's really causing headaches this side because I am trying to make enough, but yeah.
So, I mean, how's that? Where are you at in the U.S.? Because she's in Missouri, and she
Yes.
actually shipped wine to California for me. So the good part
But
about
I do have wines in California actually with Amy Atwood.
she wasn't responsive when I reached out to her.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I'm,
They are my agents in California. So my importer is in Colorado, Baobab
right,
Wines.
right.
So I think in California that's Amy Edgewood. We in Atlanta, recently in Missouri. We in
I
also
think
in
you're in
Utah.
Massachusetts. Are you in
Yeah,
Massachusetts?
in Boston as well. Yeah, Boston
Yeah.
with Eben Grape does quite a lot of for me. New York, Oregon.
Oh wow, you're in Oregon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think also Washington State.
Oh wow, you're in Washington State.
Yes.
So you might, I don't know, put up on your site what stores where people
Yeah,
can.
I've tried with my. I actually have to force him into it because I get the same request. Like I can only know to a state, but now in the states I don't know which stores. So some of them I know now, but
Okay.
it's just like I don't have that information at the moment. But yeah, I think
Okay.
it's
Your distributors can't get that to you, or
yeah. I've tried to get from my importer than the distributor. It just seems like a longer job, but I think it's important. I'll see. I'll follow up. I'll really follow up on that.
okay.
But in some states, because some shops are quite visible on socially. So when they tag me, I know which one is there already.
Okay. Okay. So how much are you sending to the US right now, case wise?
Jeez, I send at least 14,000 bottles a month. That's a container.
Wow, a month?
Yeah, to the US. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty good. Because isn't this your first year?
Yeah. So this is in first year from June last year, 2020, up to now, we've surpassed 200,000 bottles.
Wow.
And majority definitely is the US. Then I'm doing quite a lot in Zimbabwe and Kenya.
Wow.
And now
Nice.
a little bit in Ghana and Holland. So next stop is probably the UK.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And you're in New Zealand too, right?
Not yet that side.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you were in New Zealand, but you're not yet in New Zealand.
Uh, no, not that side as well. Yeah. So I think
Oh,
it's just this the first year. It's been phenomenal, and the only challenge I had was scaling up. And with wine, you can't just wake up and then cook
I know.
something in the cellar. There's time, so I've just been waiting to get into new markets, but especially even in America,
Yeah.
if I have to take my total production and give it to America, it's not enough
Yeah.
for New York, California, and Massachusetts alone.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's huge, especially for your first year, and the word out. It's a good wine, so that's great. I mean, Wanda had nothing but good to say about it,
Yeah,
and her boss, who owns the store, he absolutely loves it.
no,
And
that's amazing. I think that's been the most amazing thing, if you ask me, is that you get this flyby or you get this misconceptions, but actually people have been trying the wine and they love it, and once they love it, they love the story behind it, they love the brand. So, and it's become to an extent of word of mouth. People say,
Yeah.
no, try this wine, it's delicious. Try it out. They try it, they're not disappointed. So yeah, I'm really grateful that it's happened that way. And yeah.
Nice. So are all your varietals in the US?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But
Wow.
some are sold out, obviously, because of low volumes. But everything I make is in the US already. Yeah.
And what's moving the most? Which varietal?
My my well, obviously the Cabernet Wonder loves that moves, and it also has to do with the price point. But
Okay.
in my middle range, there's the Cabernet Sauvignon Cinsault blend, which is doing very well. Then I have the Flame Lily, which is the white blend. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Okay.
just, yeah, flying all over the place. Yeah, and
Okay.
My Chenin Blanc got into the market a little bit later than all the other wines, but it's doing phenomenally well. And we've just sent some Cinsault Rosé for the summer. Hopefully, it does well. But in other markets like Zim and Kenya, it's already picking up. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So what's your, I don't know, words of inspiration to other Black, South African, Zimbabwean, whichever country in Africa, winemaker, would you share with them who also would love to be in this market, in the US market, and perhaps they're having trouble? I know at one time, what's his name? Mossy Wines,
Yes. The guy.
Joseph is
Yeah.
okay, had wanted to get here too. And what's your words of, I don't know, what would you tell them? This is what you should do, or I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, I think first of all, have the belief that you're making quality good wines,
Hmm.
and you have to price them very well. I think that's one of the other uh, big uh, you know advice I have to give. At the end of the day, wine is price conscious, and the economics part of it, especially South Africa compared to the rest of the world,
Mm.
you gotta get your pricing strategy very well, and obviously get a good importer into America who's got a great relationships and distribution network in America itself,
Okay.
and who's willing to back and support the brand. And once it's taken off, what I find is very helpful is be engaging with the customer base, engaging with the importer, distributors, straight down to the retail stores. Like I say, I'm in Massachusetts, but I've got this urban grape uh, who are supporting the wines, and they tag, and
Okay.
we reshare, we spread the word. And I think that's what's helped me in America for to be honest, in that wherever I land up in the States, I create a good relationship with the distributor, even with the retailers or the restaurant in that. So it
Okay.
creates this kind of buzzword that your wine is alive, it's been drunk, it's been well received. Whereas, you just get in there, then you forget, then you think, oh, the wine is in America, it's gonna sell itself, or it's just gonna do wonders. So I think that post service helps quite a lot. Then yeah, just make sure you have enough contingency plans to make more once America starts ordering, because it's they it's big.
Yeah.
And at some point I almost got the bad part of it, because I went in, people enjoy the wines, but we just didn't have enough. And
Wow.
you make so much effort in getting in, but you can't deliver. So I think that's one other point, prospective uh, sellers or wine brands
Right.
have to keep in mind as well. Like, make sure you have a contingency plan.
Okay. Okay. And so I know you've had challenges even finding an importer.
Yeah.
You know, how do you go about finding them? You know,
Yeah, it took me
did
a
you
while,
reach
massive.
out or
To
did
be
they
honest,
reach out to you?
to be honest, I think I'd reached out to probably three or four
Okay.
prospective importers, and you know, the conversation sometimes didn't end up in the right direction. And with the current importer, I met them in 2019, and I remember vividly because they work with the farm I work for. So
Oh,
we
okay.
made, they had come into South Africa with their team 2019. You know, Ati, where I make my wine, introduced me to them. And, you know, they loved the brand. They weren't so reluctant to take it on. They say, okay, we'll take you on. We've got a few other wines we have. But to be honest, I think the Black Lives Matter helped me quite a
Okay.
lot because I remember I've got a friend who works at Wine Enthusiast. So she included, you remember that list of the 57 black owned
Yeah.
wineries in the
Yeah.
world?
You were on that list.
Yes, I was on that list, and all of a sudden, you know, I was receiving calls left, right, and center. And that's when my importers started to really, you know, take notice and say, okay, I think, you know, there's something here. And to their credit, you know, I think in the first part I was pissed because they didn't believe and take me on, but to their credit, I think they took hold of the situation, rode the wave, and really did the most groundwork and the networking that we took advantage of the movement which was there.
Okay.
And on my end, I was ready in terms of my message, in terms of my label. I remember I'd rebranded my wine label, so I was at the moment where I was just waiting for something to happen, and
Okay.
Black Lives Matter just happened, and I took
Hey,
advantage of it.
you are
So in
black.
America, I'll be lying if I don't say Black Lives Matter prop me up.
Okay. Okay. Well, you are black. So, you know, hey, you're part of the movement. Even if you
Yeah.
don't reside here, you're part of the movement. Let's talk about, so you changed your branding. What made you change from your original labeling to what you have now? And what's the story behind the new label?
So the original label, you know, when I wanted a label design, it's one of those where you've got something in mind, then you so happen to put it on paper and design it. It makes so sense. So initially, Kumusha is in Shona is your roots, your home, your
Hmm.
origins.
Okay.
So when I was thinking about that, I said, okay, if I want to put a label, I have to put my home where I'm talking about. And I just put my grandfather's. I had an old photo of my grandfather, so I gave the designer who I was working with at the time to just make a label. So it had this typical African home with the
Okay.
rendezvous, the hut house. You've got
Mm-hmm.
some cows and kettles walking around. You've got the backdrop of the mountain, and it really spoke to an African person, like
Mm-hmm.
who's been to a rural home. They would understand it. But I felt it just didn't have that crossover of the Europeans. I'll use the term. They would find it interesting and knowing, but it never had the same sentiments that it would give the Europeans. So I felt even when I was selling wines to other restaurants or other establishments, they'll say, okay, the wine is good, the label is good, but you can tweak it, but you can tweak it. But then I said, you know what? I might as well find someone who can help me bring the label at least in the middle. It can
Mm-hmm.
have an African feel, but still relate to a European eye and taste. So
Okay.
that's when I got
Okay.
to meet uh, Rohan Estepe. He's a label designer in Stellenbosch behind some of the most top South African wines labels. And yeah, we he gave me a different perspective, him being white and Afrikaans, and what I had from an African feel. Then we kind of met in the middle and brought
Okay.
all the concepts of my old label, the new label, where I want to take the label. And with that, it just opened other markets as well because
Oh, no. Okay.
now the label, and it's another, again, good point I'll give also to African or young aspiring guys, that the label itself, it changes the whole direction. You get noticed easily before the wines even taste the wine, and sometimes you're just sentimental because it got some meaning to you, but it gotta cross the the cultures. It gotta speak to a broader audience than just
Right.
one specific one. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So speaking of roots, let's talk about Zimbabwe and what you were going through when you made that move or that transition to Johannesburg.
Yeah, I moved to South Africa in 2008, and if you look back into history, that's the toughest year Zimbabwe has ever had. And I
Yeah.
was working in the supermarket, and I saw firsthand of shelves empty.
Mhm. Yeah.
People had money to come in, but there was nothing to sell. So it was tough then. Then I made the journey into South Africa, and you hoping that life is gonna be better, greener pastures. And in Zim, I was working in a supermarket, and I was
Mhm.
into management. I was a junior manager in a supermarket, and I arrived into South Africa thinking, okay, I've got this experience. I'm just gonna get into the, supermarkets in South Africa. And I was told point blank that there is no black manager,
Wow.
at that time in retail. And it was one of those shocks that I didn't believe it could happen. Then I ended up taking a baker's position, baking bread, and that's when I thought, sometimes life humbles you. You get into a place and you gotta build up from the bottom. So I took it upon myself that this is the situation I'm at. I need to learn this culture. I need to fit in this place and build myself from there. Obviously, I felt baking bread and working in supermarkets wasn't going to pay me off because, most of my colleagues were making money waitering tables in restaurants.
Mm.
And I said, if I want to make money, I have to be in restaurants. That's how I transitioned from baking bread into getting into restaurants, and that's where I got introduced into wine. And when
Okay.
I was in the restaurant, I figured out if you need to make more money, you need to sell expensive wine. And to be able to sell expensive wine, you gotta know the wine, you gotta know the beverage. So for me, getting into wine was me equipping myself to sell the most expensive bottle. But in doing so, I just also fell in love with the profession.
Okay.
In tasting it, I started enjoying it as well. That's why I said, okay, hold on, you just don't need to sell the expensive wine, but you just need to love wine and appreciate it. So that's how I got into the wine industry. I didn't
Wow.
have any prior background to wine. We never grew up drinking wine in our family. So it was literally from scratch.
Was there one particular wine during that journey that just grabbed you, that really let you know, I love wine?
Yeah, it was a Chenin Blanc, Terra
Okay.
Robusto, 2006. And it was made by Teddy Hall. I think he's not making wine anymore, but it was that, that kind of rich, plush white wine. It wasn't overly sweet, it wasn't bitter, it was just delicious. And I
Hmm.
felt, okay, actually, wine is quite nice. And I was lucky enough that the restaurant I worked for my first time ran a good wine program. They had a very wine list. So my taste was of just high quality. I never started from the sweet, cheap stuff. I just started from the quality stuff. So I was fortunate in that way. But I think that Chenin Blanc really stands out even up to now.
Wow. So, you know, I've been to South Africa. I've been to Johannesburg, and uh, I've never seen in the time that I've went, and I've been to. I can't even tell you all the restaurants, but uh, I might have been surprised if I was at a restaurant and asked to see or speak to the sommelier.
Mm.
uh, because I just didn't see a lot of Black South Africans in the front of the restaurant, you know, who weren't just the dishwasher or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, have you had any experiences where people are just like kind of taken aback when you walk up to their table when
Yeah.
you
I
were
think
the
yeah.
sommelier?
I think initially it was on a guest perspective. The people serving you wasn't such of an issue because they'll be excited, like, "Oh, geez, you know wine or you into wine." So there wasn't quite a really big problem. But I think from the industry perspective, in a way, there were like, you know, questionable doubt or do these guys know as much? What qualifications? And
Yeah,
it was more of the industry judging you than the end customer. The customer was so fine, so welcoming,
yeah,
very
wow,
curious, very interested. But I think it had something to do with the industry itself.
okay.
And yeah,
And so, you know, let's talk about that. Team Zimbabwe and this documentary. But I mean, Team Zimbabwe is bigger than the documentary, of course. That's
yeah.
just someone telling the story. How did you guys all come about? And did you guys all know each other before you got to Johannesburg? Up, I see.
So
You disappeared there. There you go.
no, I mean, so we met in Cape Town actually. Even before the competition, I knew Joseph came from Swartland. I had known Malvern since 2013. We're even part of competitions together. Pardon came through later in the stage, so we were in that crop of sommeliers really coming up in the wine industry in South Africa. And for the tasting championships itself, it was running since 2014, and South
Mm.
Africa used to do the tasting championships. And there's there's a leeway of one person from outside the country who can go into a team, but has to be working 3 years in that country. So
Okay.
each year when we went into this South African tasting championships, we were hoping you're the one foreigner who can get on the team. And I remember Joseph made it in 2015. Then he
Okay.
actually traveled with Team South Africa to France. Then in 2017, we just entered this competition, and all of a sudden, you had four Zimbabweans in the top 15, three in the top 10 of the South African Tasting Championships. And the organizers just like, guys, you've got so much talent to create your own team. Why can't you just create your own team? I'll help you out. You just need to raise some funds. So that's where the whole Team Zimbabwe came about. We got fortunate enough to know Jancis Robinson from the UK, the
Oh
MW.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so she set up a crowdfunding for us on
Oh wow.
a
Okay.
website, and in less than a month, we had raised more than £10,000 for us to travel.
Wow.
And she was also taken with the story that you've got these Zimbabweans living in South Africa competing in the World Blind Tasting Championships. What are the odds? And she was part of blind ops. No. What was it? The documentary, which was
Hmm.
I think it's Blind Obsession.
Blind
Yes.
ambition.
No, Blind Obsession was the first one. Wild
Oh,
Horse, the
okay.
same directors, who
Oh,
did
okay.
Blind Ambition. Yeah. So they've got
Okay.
a documentary called Blind Obsession about how the Chinese were drinking a lot of wine around 2008.
Okay.
So Jancis was part of it, and the same directors were always looking for another movie story to take up with. Then she approached them and said, you know, you've been wanting a wine story. There's this guy's about to go to France to compete. I think you've got a lovely story. And the guys called us from Australia and they're saying we're coming down to South Africa to start filming
Wow.
you guys. And that's how the documentary came about.
Nice. What does your family think about all this? You know, because they're the ones that knew you when, way back when. What do they
Yeah.
think about all of this success now and just the journey and how things have changed? I mean, I'm sure somebody's saying, I would have never thought Tinashe would be making wine.
Yeah, it's there. Obviously, it's something unusual for them. It's something they never expect. Even my mom now only understands because I'm making a living out of it. But yeah, it was almost a culture shock. It was almost, even it goes down to family, to former schoolmates who are like, dude, we're glad you chose wine because we're getting bored here being doctors or being pilots. And so I think it's uh, one of those instances where you then create hope and you kind of put some sense of feeling that it's not about, because when we were growing up it was all about either going to do accounting, you can be a doctor, you can be a
Yeah,
pilot. There wasn't that uh, couch of you can be anything you want in life and you can still make it. So I
yeah,
think the family is proud. Colleagues and former schoolmates are even prouder, and everyone just kind of feels that they can be and achieve what they want to be in the world.
okay, okay. I know it's late there. I'm not going to keep you too long. What's that one thing you still want to achieve, whether it's with wine or with anything else?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to. I'm always pushing to be better in what I do, making a difference. And in wine itself, I don't think just producing is enough, especially in this part of the world. I'm not sure how it is in America for
Mhm.
black people or previously disadvantaged people, but I feel production is just one part of the wine value chain.
Mhm.
There's one thing making something tangible, but I think in this fight we championing in this black empowerment, or be it support black, it somehow it will never make sense without having a financial and economic part of it
Mhm.
uh, to back it up. I'm content that the brand is there. People look up to me and feel, this guy is doing a lot. But I also want to get a point where it's also a financial example. It's
Okay.
it's not just he made it, he made noise, people enjoy the wine, but look at him now. He's he's people feeling sorry. I would love to create this movement into more economic empowerment as well,
Yeah.
and a financial example. And the only way to do that, especially here, is to then tap in each of the wine value chain, tap into retail, tap into distribution, be it
Yeah.
restaurants or
Yeah.
anywhere along the value chain, so that it's a proper blueprint where people can trace on and
Yeah.
take example from that.
And so you're are you the chairman of that organization, Black BLACC? Am I saying
Yeah,
that
no,
correct?
I'm just a founding board member now. So, but we're
Okay.
still much involved, and yeah, championing exactly what I've said now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think especially because in my in my instance, that I coming from the sommelier background, so everyone wanted to be sommelier. But
Hmm.
I'm saying, the wine is a whole, the value chain is is wide. You know,
Right.
not all of you guys are gonna make it as a sommelier on the floor, but maybe your talent is into making wine. Your talent is to being in retail. Your talent is even wine writing and communication.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I just want to open up that. Oh, it wasn't there when I was starting. You know, even
Okay.
when I was sommelier, everyone is saying you should do the masters, you should be an MS, and I'm saying you don't have to be an MS to really realize your value in wine. You know,
Right.
you
Right.
can go maybe MW, you can go into wine writing or
Right.
distribution. So yeah,
Right. Definitely need more Black distributors and
yes, exactly,
importers. Definitely.
exactly. Is it still the same situation in America?
It is. It's a little bit more, but there's only a few Black importers. There's more Black sommeliers.
Yeah,
There's, there's a good number of people, African Americans, who are in the wine industry, and it's a combination between winemakers and brand owners
yeah,
that are in there. I would say, off the top of my head, there's at least maybe 40 Black winemakers,
yeah,
and they mostly reside uh, on the West Coast in California. There's a few in Oregon. There's two in Washington State, but they're definitely mostly on the west side of the country.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, and speaking of the U.S., what are your plans? Are you coming to the U.S. soon?
Yeah, I should have been there last year already if it wasn't for COVID. But
Yeah.
hopefully, with the easing of you guys opening up and vaccinations, I'm actually planning. Hopefully, by end of this year, I can get the opportunity to come over. I've
Okay.
never been to the US, so it will be great. I'd love to. I've met so many friends, and I would really love to visit soon.
Okay. Are you going to do some wine tours? I mean, like
Yeah,
tastings
definitely,
at the
definitely.
kind of states where your wines are being sold? Is that your
Yeah.
import?
So I
Is
think
it your importer bringing you in, or how are you getting here?
yeah, I think if I get in, I'm, because you know the situation right now. If I can't spend much more time, obviously focus on the top states that I'm doing very well. Then
Mhm.
next year, plan a longer trip where I can go to the other ones as well.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, keep me posted. I would definitely love to see it. I haven't seen your documentary yet. I don't know when Tribeca is going to release it so that
Yeah,
more people can see it. But the few people I know who have seen it said they loved it. It was an amazing,
amazing.
yeah, and that they can't wait to see you when you get here.
Yeah,
So keep us posted on when you're going to be here. Of course, I'm doing the International Winemaker Summit. We're kind of checking the climate and we'll make a decision if it will just be virtual again or if
uh-huh.
we do kind of a hybrid. We're going to probably know come September, uh, if the country's ready to start pulling people together. We'll see. Some states are already doing like festivals and even, but I just don't think
Awesome. Yeah,
I think some states still are saying, well, we're not ready to go there yet. So we'll see, but want to have you back. I know we had some challenges getting you in. Uh,
yeah,
so maybe we need to get you in a few more panels. So just in case you have technical difficulties again, we can get you
yeah,
in here
definitely.
because people definitely wanted to know a little bit more about you. And
Awesome. No,
so,
I'll keep you up to date, but hopefully soon we can be that side.
okay, all right. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for staying up late. It's like Saturday night. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'm actually in Cape Town, in a remote winemaking region called Maugas. So I just came about with my daughter, who's been very patient. Yeah,
oh, look at her. She
and
just
said
rubbed her
bye.
eyes. Hi.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go deal with baby girl. And
Awesome, sure.
thank you. Yeah.
Keep
Thank
warm.
you. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, this was great. Hopefully, we can do these more often with other winemakers. But thank you for joining. Uh, that was a wonderful conversation. Great winemaker, and I will definitely keep people updated on when he is going to be in the United States of America. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.